Welcome, I'm Kathy Pichulo with the Kenton Chamber of Commerce, and I'm welcoming all my friends and colleagues from the great town of Tonawanda to our State of the Town address with Joseph Emminger, our town supervisor, who'll be giving us an update of the past year and kind of a look ahead too of what's going to, what we're looking forward to. So I know this has been a difficult year for everyone. And, but basically with some gratitude of the great country that we live in, I am going to start with a Pledge of Allegiance, and I am going to share a screen, still letting people in here, and we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, thank you to Mary Kate O'Connell for recording that, and that all worked. So that was pretty exciting. We absolutely are blessed to have Mary Kate and O'Connell and Company here in town. I did want to start here live on Facebook, see if that'll work, get that going. Let's just see here. So get that going there. There we go. And in the meantime, I am going to introduce our board president, Scott Swan, who is with Lakeshore Savings Bank, to just say a few words. He's actually the board chair, excuse me. We changed titles. And I would appreciate, Scott, if you could unmute yourself and welcome everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. So one is I just want to welcome everybody today to the State of the Town. I know that this past year has definitely been challenging, to say the least. So, you know, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us today. I think one of the things the Chamber has foregone over this past year is really adding some new faces to our Board of Directors. So I just want to give a shout out and thank you to all the Board of Directors. We've added some new faces with some diversified backgrounds to really adhere to, you know, the businesses and the people in our community to try to be there in any way we can for them. I believe the Chamber has a very strong future, you know, as we try to reinvent ourselves in these new times that we are facing. So I'll let Kathy maybe talk a little bit more about the Chamber initiatives, where we've been, where we're going, and things to look forward to. But I just want to thank everybody again for joining us today, and I hope everybody stays well. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Scott. That's fantastic. I definitely appreciate that. I wanted to make sure that I welcomed, obviously, everyone, the Chamber members and our elected officials, our department heads, town employees, residents, and guests to this annual event that we are happy to host on behalf of our town supervisor, Joe Emminger. The crowd in this virtual meeting today is a real great testimony to the spirit of the town, for sure. And we are have some people that I would like to mention as far as some dignitaries. And we have at least a representative from the Honorable Chris Jacobs Senate office. I don't believe we have the Honorable Bill Conrad, but I did want to call him out as our new New York State Assemblyman and congratulate him. Maybe he is here. Okay, I just see hand signals and I'm not getting it, but whatever. We have the Honorable Lynn Marinelli, who is the former chair of the Erie County Legislature and currently the Director of Intergovernmental Relations with Empire State Development. The Honorable John LaFalce, retired congressman. The Honorable Frank Caruso, New York State Supreme Court Justice. The Honorable Patrick Mang, Village of Kenmore Mayor. The Honorable Michelle Ionello Ward, former Erie County legislator. And I do see our retired Brigadier General and former town supervisor, Anthony Caruana. And I was going to welcome our special guest, John Whitney, supervisor of Grand Island, but he brought a whole room full of people. So we welcome all of the people there from Grand Island. I see that you have a whole crew there, and that's fantastic. And I thank Scott Swan, our chairperson, our chairman of the board. And I'll just call out also our chamber board that, as Scott said, has just become very, just a fantastic board. We've rounded it out with so many talented people. It's fantastic. We are always thankful to our past chairman, Bob Gilmore, who continues to lead our group and stay on board with us. Our treasurer is Lori Abramo from William C. Allen Associates. Our secretary is Jonathan Jasinski from Harder, Seacrest, and Emery. Who else? We have Nina Hurd from GM Powertrain. Sorry, I'm also still letting people in the room, multitasking. Walt Ludwig, president of Kenmore Mercy Hospital. Jim Millard, who is a past president of Kenmore Mercy Hospital and currently with the marketing agency Mirror Matter. David Stinner from US iTech. Carl Zarek, who's a town of Tonawanda councilperson. Tim Grant from Dangler Roberts Perna Dignity Memorial Funeral Homes. Tyler Riesinger from NOCO. David Miller from 3 Dadix. And our newest board member is Barb Osofsky from Blue Designs. And that is really, like I said, a very well-rounded group of people who are fantastic. I want to also thank your town staff there, Joe. I'd like to give them kudos also, but Jeannie Stewart and Rochelle DiCarlo, we never could pull these off without all of them. And of course, AV team, a one-man band, Anthony Matthews. Thank you for helping out pull this together. And then we have some great business partners who you saw up earlier. I do always want to thank our business partner, Crown Benefits Group, and one of our main sponsors, Kenmore Mercy Hospital, who we all appreciate this year, especially because they are just such a gem in this community. And then we also are going to acknowledge our sponsors for the luncheon. I actually wrote that in my notes. The Town of Tonawanda Parks, Youth Parks and Recreation Department, and Kenton Meals and Wheels. And you are allowed to have lunch during this meeting if you so have it at your desk, that's just fine. You know that we have had a very strange 12 months. And I stood in front of this group last year knowing that 2020 was going to be the best year we've ever had. All the stars were aligned for growth and positive impact in the business community. And then all of a sudden, that all suddenly shut down and changed. And so it's been a humbling year. We're also, in essence, a small business ourselves, and we faced every challenge that our business community faced. But stuck isn't something we're going to tolerate. So we're moving forward, and I'm eager and willing to give my time and promote the best for this community. And my goal is for this organization to be able to provide common ground for businesses, government, nonprofits, schools, etc. And we are absolutely going to continue with the way that we have in the past, but we will make some changes based on whatever anybody needs. We continue to work closely with our associations. And I did want to let you know that everything is on our website, our brand new website for future. So I'm not going to go through a whole list of things that we have coming up, but there are quite a few things that we are working on right now. And then basically just our model and my little term that I use is that we are the face of business. We facilitate, advocate, connect, and educate. And that is exactly what we're going to continue to do as we work through 2021 and look forward to a very healthy 2022 as the Chamber celebrates its 50th anniversary. So this meeting is going to look a lot different next year as the Chamber celebrates its 50th anniversary. So thank you for everybody for showing up. I think everybody entered the room. And I am going to ask Joe to unmute. And so, because I had muted everybody again, and I'm going to make sure that Anthony can screen share. And I'm very proud to be working with Joe Emminger, and we really thank you for everything that you've done and are doing consistently. And here is our supervisor, Joe Emminger.
Thank you, Kathy. You took half my talk, so this will be a real short address now. So I appreciate those kind words. And as I alluded to those who were on the call a little bit earlier, this is going to be a shorter message than I've given in some past years, but I'm going to afford everybody, I would invite everyone, not everyone, but I would afford everybody the opportunity to ask me questions at the end of my talk by going into the chat room on the bottom of your screen and just writing your name and put a question down on any town matter. I'll be more than happy to address it the best way that I can. And, this is a different year, so we're going to try things a little bit differently with a little bit of Q&A with the supervisor at the end of my talk. So I'll get started here. And, what a difference a year makes. Last February 7th is when I delivered the 2020 State of the Town address. And when I gave that address last year, I would bet that the vast majority of us on this Zoom call never even heard of Zoom, let alone used it. And yet here we are. And when you think of it, why should my State of the Town address this year be any different than any other changes that all of us have had to make these past 12 months? But you know what I believe? I'm an optimist. I believe that in 5 or 10 years, we're going to look back on what we all went through and what we're still going through. And we're going to wonder, how in the hell did we get through this? I'm not saying that we're glad we went through it. I would never say that. But I think we all learned a little bit more about ourselves this past year and how we can adapt to just about any condition. And adapting to changes in our lives is never a bad thing, in my opinion. And the same can be said for our town. Our town learned to adapt. I'll start out by thanking Kenton Chamber Executive Director Kathy Paciullo and Chairman Scott Swan. I had to change my talk. I had president before. Now I got to call him chairman, for helping to put the Zoom event together and for providing me this opportunity to speak to you today. For those of you who know me, you know it's something that I always do look forward to. As always, a big thank you goes out to my fellow town board members, Deputy Supervisor and Councilman John Barnese, and Council members Shannon Patch, Carl Zurich, and Jill O'Malley, our newest member, as well as our newly elected State Assemblyman and former town board member, Bill Conrad, who was with us all of last year, all of whom continue to do an outstanding job in support of our community. I also want to thank my executive assistants last year, Jeannie and Rochelle, as well as Anthony Matthews from our town IT department for his technical assistance with this program. And a special thank you to all of our other elected officials, our town department heads, and all of our town employees who really do just a tremendous job, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to help make our town the great community that it is. But I'll speak more about them later. Before I do go any further, I do want to acknowledge a key member of our town team who passed away this past June, our good friend and colleague, Sue Ann Barnes. Anyone who knew Sue or worked with Sue knows how dedicated she was to her job, to her profession, and to the town. Sue was loved by all who knew her and worked with her, and she will be sorely missed. Thank you, Sue, for everything that you did to make me a better supervisor and our town a better place. You will be missed, but trust me, you will never be forgotten. 2020 was a year unlike any other that any of us have ever experienced, and none of us will soon forget it. When historians refer to the year 2020, one word, COVID, will be discussed prominently in every story or book written, and more than likely in the first sentence or paragraph. Whether any of us want to admit it or not, all of us have lived through and are still living through history this very day. And this pandemic we find ourselves in, it will be studied for decades, if not centuries from now. The authors in the future will have the benefit of 2020 hindsight and looking back and analyzing all the things that we as a government did to protect our constituents and employees and guide the town during the pandemic. The good and the not so good ways that the local governments handled things. On that note, I would like to briefly tell you how we as a town address matters right from the get-go, starting on day one, Sunday, March 15th, when the state of emergency in the town was declared. The decisions that we made in those early days set the stage for the town being able to provide more services and more programs last year than any other town in Western New York. And it also enabled us as a town to end the fiscal year 2020 with a surplus. Yes, a surplus that I'm proud to say that went right back to the residents and businesses of the town in the 2021 budget. And that gave most of the residents a very modest tax cut this year. Why did we put $2.5 million of surplus money in the 2021 budget? We did it because we felt that the money belongs to the taxpayers and who we felt would still be feeling the effects of COVID in 2021 and beyond. Right from the start, the direction that the town board took was one that we needed to not only protect the residents and the business owners of the town, but we also needed to protect in any way that we could our town employees. Those were and continue to be our number one priorities even today. In order to do that, we initially focused on only providing our essential services, public safety, sanitation, garbage pickup, and our water and sewer services. And then we started to literally open up our doors to more programs and activities. Back in March, no one, including me, had any idea what the coronavirus would have on us as a town or as individuals, but we would find out soon enough. Terms that we never used or said before March of last year became part of our everyday vocabulary. Terms such as wear a mask, social distance, stay safe entered our vernacular. A year ago, Colleen and I had just gotten back from New York City in the New York State Association of Towns annual meeting. What none of us knew at that time was that the coronavirus was already spreading in New York City. On a Saturday morning in late February, I was joined by Supervisor Whitney for a countywide meeting of all the town supervisors and village mayors, including Mayor Mang, at the Erie County Emergency Operations Center in Cheektowaga. It was there that we got to meet for the first time our County Health Commissioner, Dr. Gail Burstein. And Dr. Burstein is the one who informed all of us in attendance that day about what we were about to face. The coronavirus was coming to Erie County, and there was nothing that we could do to stop it. Dr. Burstein went on to say that it was going to wreak havoc on our communities, our budget. It was going to kill, in all probability, thousands in our region, and that it was going to be a very difficult year. So we better start preparing for it now. I, as well as my colleagues, took those words to heart, and we started to prepare the town for what was coming next. The first thing we did was to form an emergency operations team comprised of the town board, department heads, and other community leaders. And it was during the first meeting of the EOT that I informed them about what we were about to encounter. I told them that we needed to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. I told them that we needed to protect our workers, and that in order to do that, we were going to have to ramp up our ability to allow as many of our employees to work from home. Recognizing, of course, that many of our essential workers, our police, paramedics, water and sewer workers, and highway sanitation workers, can't work from home. I'm happy and proud to report today that due to the direction of our EOT team and the compliance of our employees and department heads, I believe we have done an outstanding job in preventing any large outbreaks in our town departments. Our programming last year, yes, it did suffer. We can't deny that, but our town residents realized that we were up against what we were up against and accepted the restrictions for the most part. And because of that cooperation, our town has weathered the worst of the pandemic, in my opinion, and brighter days lie ahead. My last comment about the virus will be this. While brighter days do lie ahead, for the immediate future at least, we still need to follow the COVID protocols, which will include social distancing, mask wearing, and washing our hands. To date, over 4,200 people in the town have contracted COVID-19. And unfortunately, I'm unable to tell you how many people have passed away in Tonawanda, since that figure is just not available, or at least to the best of my knowledge, I haven't been able to find that figure. But I don't want any of us to ever forget those who perished due to COVID. Who were they? They were mothers, they were fathers, they were grandmothers, they were grandfathers, they were brothers, sisters, aunts and uncles, and friends. They did nothing wrong, yet they are no longer with us. To honor them, at some time later this year, I'm going to be proposing to the town board that the town put up a memorial to honor all those who suffered and died from COVID during this pandemic. We should never forget them. I know I never will. Looking back on this now, 11 months later, I don't know how we accomplished all that we did last year, but we did. As I stated earlier, from day one, the town's goal was to continue to maintain and provide the essential services that our town residents and businesses deserve. Quite frankly, everything else that we did got put on the back burner to some degree to a later time. For 2020 in the town of Tonawanda, it could be described best by Charles Dickens, as it was the best of times and it was the worst of times. I already spoke to you about some of the worst of times. Now I want to expand and tell you why I was so proud to be your town supervisor last year and why I consider some of the things that we were able to accomplish to be some of the best of times. And for me, that starts and ends with these two groups of people, our department heads and our town workers. The great work, and I don't want to emphasize that word strongly enough, that great work that our department heads and town employees did to be able to continue to provide the essential services to our residents and business owners in very difficult circumstances cannot be overstated. They didn't miss a beat. Their work and their efforts were truly amazing, and they become even more amazing every time I think back as to what they had to deal with. To all of them, we owe a great debt of gratitude, and at normal times, I would ask all of us to give them a round of applause, but that's going to have to wait till next year. Now let's look to the future a little bit. Last Friday, we closed on our LED street lighting project, a project that was at least 7 years in the making. The project was managed by our town engineers, Jim Jones at the beginning of the project start, and Matt Sutton, our current town engineer, at the end. Both of them did such a tremendous job. This $19 million project will bring the town into 21st century for our over 6,000 streetlights. That kind of sounds a little funny, I know, but it really is. We're going to be able to do some amazing things with these streetlights, and they'll help our public safety and a few other things. And the big thing is, though, we're going to anticipate savings right from day one. And the 2021 budget, which I discussed briefly earlier, these savings from our street lighting project will have already been incorporated, and you've already seen that savings in your town tax bills that you paid last month. I do want to highlight some of the other work that some of our other departments accomplished last year, because that too was by no means no small task. From the public's views, from the public standpoint, if I asked the public what department was impacted the most, they would probably say our Youth Parks and Recreation Department under the direction of Mark Campanella and his team. And they may not be wrong. But before I get to them, I want to tell you about a department that was critical to our being able to accomplish everything that we did last year. And that department is our building department under the direction of Tom Duncan. You want to talk about a thankless job? This department has it. They're damned if they do, and they're damned if they don't. Practically every decision that they make will make someone mad at them, and they're not even on the town board. Tom and his team never missed a beat last year, and because of their efforts, Amazon was able to open their new $25 million distribution warehouse with 600 jobs on time. I want to take this opportunity to thank every single one of them for the job they did. Tom, it was a job well done by you and your staff. Back to YPR. The town board basically shut them down on March 15th, and they stayed shut down for a couple of months until we were able to open up some of their programs and activities. Sure, we had to cut some parks and rec programs, yet we still offered more summer programs than any other municipality in Western New York last year. Golf was different with the restrictions on our golf courses, but you were able to golf. Swimming also had to be altered. For COVID safety reasons, it was decided that we should open up only one pool, which turned out to be Lincoln, and we would limit that to town residents only. Truthfully, we were very nervous about doing that, but the one pool operation was a big success, and the public was thrilled that they were able to swim, especially considering that practically all other local municipalities' pools did not open. Our YPR team is always trying to come up with ideas that would make people forget about the pandemic. And one of those new events was the Halloween parade. We had over 400 cars participate in the parade, as well as all of our volunteer fire companies. This was a huge success. Finally, on the YPR front, something that you normally don't associate with them, and something that became more important than ever due to COVID, was our breakfast and lunch program. This program served over 13,700 meals in a 2-month period from late June through late August. Truly amazing work. And as we move forward in 2021, our YPR team is committed to maintaining and increasing our facilities and program. Our YPR team partnered with the Kenton Meals on Wheels. And last night at our town board meeting, we recognized the Kenton Meals on Wheels and Executive Director Dan Wiles for the work that they do in naming March our March for Wheels month here in the town. This is a national program trying to bring attention to senior hunger in communities throughout New York State. What our Kenton Meals on Wheels program did last year, I have to mention, they served over 113,000 meals in our community last year for the 11-12 month period. Think about that, 113,000 meals. Our YPR team teamed up with them because they needed drivers. You know, a lot of the volunteers for Meals on Wheels are over 65. And, you know, they rightly made the decision they had to stop volunteering. So we had to provide, our YPR provided drivers to get these meals out at times when they were short drivers. I want to thank Dan Wiles and his Meals on Wheels team for all that they do for us every year, but especially what they are doing for us and continue to do for us in these COVID times. Last month, the town board engaged a national firm from Illinois to come in and do an assessment of our aquatic and fitness center, which for years has suffered large financial losses. Now, before anyone gets too carried away and claims that the town board is closing the aquatic and fitness center, you should know the facts. We are bringing in a national firm because, quite frankly, our YPR team, they're not marketing, they're not marketers. And that's part of what we are looking for. We need to market the facility better so we can attract more members. And that includes a wide variety of topics. It includes programming. It includes teaming up with local HMOs. And they're going to come in next month, Power Wellness from Illinois, and they're going to start the process of doing our assessment. And as that process moves forward, we will continue to keep the public informed. We also started collaborating with the Kenton School District in an attempt to share facilities and services. While we have always had a great relationship and shared services with them, we hope to take this to a new level in the next few years. While COVID stopped us from providing all of our programs last year, it did not stop us from completing our $4 million paving project that started in 2019, nor did it stop us from installing new water and sewer lines. Last year, the town did sewer work on Colvinhurst and DuPont, and replacing water lines continues to be a major initiative since we had our critical water study completed in 2006. I want to thank the department heads of these two essential service departments, Highway Superintendent Tom Jones and Water Resources Department Head Mike Kessler, and all of the members within their departments. Not to be outdone by these departments that I already mentioned was the work of our town clerk, Marguerite Greco, and her staff. Think about it for a minute. People still needed to pay their water bills, still needed to get marriage license, still needed to get death certificates, unfortunately. They needed to get birth certificates and a host of others that I don't even know about during the pandemic. Yet they were able to do it seamlessly due to the hard work that Marguerite and her staff did, and they did it very well. Thank you, Marguerite. Last March, we brought on one of our retired paramedics, Bob Lutz, into our emergency services department. I realize we didn't do everything right during the pandemic, but I can tell you one thing we did get right, and that was bringing in Bob. What a job he did for all of us in making sure we not only had the proper PPEs, but we also had enough PPEs and everything else that went along with the job. Outstanding work, Bob, and thank you for your service and stepping up to the plate when we needed you. And by we, I mean the town board and the department heads, who did we rely on to coordinate everything from the labor personnel standpoint? None other than our Director of Labor Relations, Eileen Fleming, and her staff. They took the brunt of the questions from all of us, most notably yours truly, as things were literally changing from hour to hour or half hour to half hour in the first 6 months of the pandemic. It was crazy. Whenever I would end our emergency operation meetings with our department heads and community leaders, I would remind everyone on the call that the decisions that we just made during the 2-hour call were probably only going to be good for the next 60 minutes. To say we needed to be flexible is an understatement. And in keeping up with all those changes, it was Eileen and her staff. So thank you, Eileen. And all of our other departments heads who ran their departments without missing a beat, and they continued to serve the public as well. I have to tell you, if I sound like a proud father talking about my department heads, I plead guilty because I am. I can be rough on them sometimes. I know I can, but I want to thank them all now publicly. Right now, Controller Debbie Schwartz, Assessor Judy Tefelsky, IT Director Chuck Schultz, Town Engineer Matt Sutton, Police Chief Jim Stoffager, Planning and Development Director Jim Hartz, our two town justices, Mark Ruber and Dan Cavarello, our new clerk of the court, Amy Rentz. Amy Rentz replaced our outgoing clerk of the court, Denise Cefalo, who retired last year after having served the town for 30 years. I want to thank Denise for everything that she did for the town during her time with us. I also want to acknowledge one other person who did step down this last year after decades of service. This individual was not employed by the town, but her contributions over the decades were felt and will continue to be felt for many years to come. That individual is Faye Ryan, who stepped down as chairwoman of the James V. Ryan Paramedic Foundation at the end of last year. Faye, all I can say to you is thank you, because words will never be able to describe all the good that you and your foundation have done for our community, and I look forward to seeing you soon. The town will continue to look to partner with other levels of government to bring projects to fruition and ensure our residents that needs are met. Our U.S. Senators Schumer and Gillibrand and Congressman Brian Higgins have been vital advocates on our behalf with the federal government. We are fortunate to have wonderful partners in Albany, led by our now former councilman and now assemblyman, Bill Conrad, even though he may not be on this call, he gets called out here. And our new state senator, Sean Ryan. We have great partners locally, including County Executive Mark Polenkars and our county legislators, another former town board member, Lisa Shamara and Kevin Hardwick, as well as former town board member, John Flynn, as our district attorney. You get a sense here, there's town of Tonawanda may be taking over Erie County. Working together provides a more united effort in helping not only our town, but also the entire Western New York community. I also want to take time to thank all of our volunteers. We couldn't do what we do without all of our volunteers who serve on our boards, committees, and the members of our various service clubs, especially our garden club, and members of our volunteer firefighters for all of their efforts. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank the residents of the town for giving me the true honor and privilege of representing you as supervisor as we forge ahead. Together, I firmly believe that working together, we can and will overcome any challenges that lie ahead. Just look at what we just got through and are continuing to get through. There's nothing that can stop us as we continue to build a vibrant future for our community. As for the pandemic, we are not out of it yet, so we all need to continue to be patient. We all need to get the vaccine as soon as possible. Continue to practice our good social distancing, mask wearing, and washing of hands whenever possible. Now they say you save the best for last. And I'm going to do that today. I can't thank this person enough. She saw me through the darkest days of my life this past year. Colleen was the one person who was able to see the physical, mental, and emotional toll that COVID was taking on me. She is and always will be my hero. And I'm not going to say any more because I won't get through the rest of my talk. I'll leave it at I love you. So thanks to all of you for your attention this afternoon and watching me cry. And may God continue to bless each and every one of you and your families, our country and our community in the year ahead. Now, we have an award to hand out. Last year, it was my honor to introduce a new award that was to be presented as warranted to an individual in recognition of significant contributions to the state of the town and advancement of the town for the good of all. The award is in honor of the man who represented our community with dedication and honor for more than 4 decades before retiring at the end of last year. The award is named the Robin Emminger Commemorative Economic Development Award. This year's award winner is on the call today. I don't think he knows he's receiving the award. I did consult with the assemblyman on the award, and Robin is 100% in agreement that the award should go to this individual for his contributions to our community. This individual has lived in the town for over 40 years. This individual worked for the Erie County Department of Environment and Planning for 36 years before retiring in 2018 as the Director of Business Assistance, where he worked closely with staff at the ECIDA on numerous projects of regional significance, including the redevelopment of Bethlehem Steel and Spalding Fiber in the city of Tonawanda. Closer to home, this individual was appointed to our town planning board in 2002 and is currently the chairman, where he has helped lead the 2005 comprehensive plan and the 2015 plan update. Currently working on issues such as battery storage facilities and 5G network regulations. This individual currently serves on the board of directors at the Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park, along with former Supervisor Tony Caruana, who, as said earlier, is also on this call today. This individual currently serves as a treasurer to the New York State Planning Federation. And finally, and most importantly, in my opinion, this individual is very proud to have his children call the town of Tonawanda their home, primarily so that he can perform the most important job he has these days, that being the job of a grandfather. Our 2021 Robin Emminger Commemorative Economic Development Award winner is Ken Swanekamp. Ken, please know that there is no one other than Robin himself who is more deserving to receive this award. Congratulations. I have the award here with me in my office, and I will be presenting it to you in the very, very, very near future. Let's have a round of applause for Ken, even though we can't hear it there. Okay, so yes, I've left a lot off to talk about. I didn't talk about the Huntley site. I just briefly touched upon Amazon moving into town. We got the redevelopment of the former Tonawanda Coke site, Riverview Innovation and Technology Campus at its own now, and there are other developments. And that was done on purpose. I have to leave something for next year, but I also want to concentrate solely on what was important to us over this past year. And we can never forget all that we have accomplished over these past 11, 12 months and what we're going to accomplish in the next 11 and 12 months. So at this time, as I alluded earlier, I will entertain any questions that you may have on any topic, development, COVID, the Bills, the Sabres, anything. I just ask that again that you write your name in the chat box at the bottom, and I will answer them as we go along. And I know we have some questions, so I will see if I can get these questions opened up here. Where's the chat box? I can't seem to get it here. Let's see here. All right, I can't open up my chat box. How come I can't open up my chat?
Supervisor, then I'll read a couple that have come up.
Hold on, maybe I can. Oh, I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
Great.
Okay. Okay. Hope you are well, somebody said. Well, obviously by me sobbering fool here, you can tell that I'm well on the mend to getting better. Thank you. So from Dave Stenner, question, since the beginning of the pandemic, we have seen a huge increase in cyber attacks and ransomware attacks against businesses, school districts, and governments. This could be crippling to town government and shut down services. Right about that. What steps have been taken to address increased level of threats? Dave, I can't give the answer to this question because I'm not an IT person, but I can assure you, I can guarantee you that Chuck Schultz and our IT department work on this issue every day of the week. They are constantly coming to me and coming to the town board and talking about how we have to upgrade our firewalls and do other things to make sure that we stay away from a ransomware or a cyber attack. To date, knock on wood, we haven't had any, but that doesn't mean that we're being lax. It means, I think, that Chuck and his team are staying on top of things, and they got to continue to stay on top of those things. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. This pandemic has left many storefronts empty in our town and village. And this is from Beverly Berry. This pandemic has left many storefronts empty in our town and village, and it breaks my heart to see this. Is there any effort being made to assist small businesses or efforts to assist the landlords to help fill these buildings with new merchants? Also to encourage efforts on the part of the community to patronize them and buy and shop local. Well, the county has the initiative that we certainly support wholeheartedly about buying local. Throughout the course of this pandemic, the town has, on social media, on the website, has promoted buying local to our residents, and we will continue that going forward. The economic effects of this pandemic have yet to even begin to be felt, in my opinion. Okay, we're getting through the medical effects of the pandemic, or we will be getting them through them, hopefully in the next 5-6 months or so. Okay, but the economic effect of this coronavirus will be felt, in my opinion, for years to come. And Albany or Washington is going to do what they can. But it's a situation that it really it's going to be problematic for all of us. So what can we do as a town to help small businesses and local businesses? The aid that we're going to give, and we are going to be discussing this, the aid that we're going to give with maybe some of the the COVID money, relief money that's going to be coming to the town. Okay. We're going to be entertaining and talking about, discussing, doing something in terms of loans. But, the money that we have, we can't give a loan to every small business in the town. Okay. So all that we can do is, we can guide them to federal and state programs, and there are a lot of federal and state programs that are out there. The county just did an initiative through the money, some of the money that they received with business loans, but loans don't do anybody any good. If you're in business going through a pandemic, with all due respect to our bankers on the line, Scott, loans don't do anybody good. They got to be grants. Okay, they need grants. These small businesses are going under. And loans aren't going to do anybody any good. So we're going to be attempting to work with them, to point them in the right direction where they can get some money. So from Mike Newman, Mike says, are you worried about higher default rates on property taxes? What is the outlook for the town's portion of sales tax? Okay, great question, Mike. Let's see here. Default rates on property taxes. And for better or for worse, no, the town doesn't worry about default rates on property taxes because the county makes us whole. They make every town whole. So the county is probably more concerned about default rates on taxes. If we have foreclosures and the people haven't paid their taxes in like 3-4 years, the town gets made whole every year by the county. So that's a problem. We have a lot of other problems we got to worry about, but we don't have to worry about the default rate on property taxes. As for the outlook on the town's portion of the sales tax, that was a discussion, as Supervisor Whitney can allude to. That was a discussion that we had as a group of supervisors, back in March, April. We were all worried about what the impact of the sales tax to our 2020 budgets were going to have. They were down slightly. Back in the early days, March and April of COVID, there were projections that sales tax were going to be down 25% or more when it hit. And as time went on, we started opening things up over the summer. That number kept getting smaller. And the number by the end of the year was a fairly small number. I believe it was under a 5% drop. I'll give full marks to this to our town controller, Debbie Schwartz. Okay, when her and I sit down and do the budget, we exercise conservative budgeting. So we do not budget what we believe will be the full amount that we will get in sales tax and mortgage tax. Okay, because those numbers are unknowns when we're doing a budget in July, August, and September, and we're trying to predict the next year what we're going to get. So we always are very cautious, conservative on projecting those numbers. So as a town, we actually got the budget-wise, our sales tax was on budget for last year because we budgeted a little less than normal. So this is from Tina Waltz. We have seen many more recent activity at the old Bontown site. Any idea what's going on there? Thank you. She said thank you. The Bontown site is being redeveloped. Anybody who drives by it, you see it going on. I believe they're proposing medical office space in that building. Stay tuned. They're repurposing that site. The other site, the home store, right next door to the Bontown store, that they came before our building department, or planning department, or planning board, I believe, or at least the planning department, and they were proposing tearing down that building, the home store, and constructing two smaller retail buildings on that site. So thank you for I don't see any more questions now. This one came up, so I'm glad to answer it. We have, this is from Scott Swan, Chairman Swan. One big issue we are seeing is the supply of vaccinations. Great, this is a great question. I don't even know the rest of the question, but vaccinations is a big issue that we all got to be concerned about. Do you have any insight in the movement of more vaccines for our community and making more readily available? I wish I had a better answer for you, Scott, and the others. Vaccinations is something that nobody seems to have a good grasp upon. And we're the low end of the food chain here in town government and village government. So we partnered with Bright & Eggert Pharmacy to do the rapid testing on COVID. And they are gearing up to do vaccinations as well when the vaccinations become available. I have spoken to Don Arthur from Bright & Eggert Pharmacy, and every week, and I ask him any new news, and he says there's no new vaccinations. They're not for those sites. They're not coming up. So they seem to be using the pharmacy. They want to go to the pharmacies more for the general population, I think, down the road. But there is another site in town that is offering them to be used for vaccination sites. The sites are not the problem. It's the vaccine itself that's the problem. It's the supply. I think we're going to see a better supply. There's some discouraging news, last week with the J&J Johnson & Johnson vaccine being held up for some reason. That's a one-shot vaccine. My hopes were, 2 weeks ago, I was hoping once that comes out in March and starts being mass produced, that's going to be a game changer. Unfortunately, we're not at that point yet, and hopefully we will be at that point. But, more and more people are getting vaccinated. And the more and more people that can get vaccinated, that's, it's safer for the community. But COVID is still out there. COVID is still out there. If you had COVID like myself, I encourage you to still get the vaccine. It's, and we just got to keep praying that this vaccination distribution, they get these kinks worked out, and we can get them into the arms. I mean, I got an appointment for my vaccine. I called. I'm going to Rochester. And I wish it was sooner than it is, but the soonest I could get was April 9th. And I know somebody, one of our great police officers, Julia Taylor, who just got awarded the New York State Law Enforcement Officer of the Year last weekend. Julia told me last night, she was at our town board meeting. Julia informed me last night that I believe next week she's going to Potsdam, believe it or not, for to get her shot. I mean, so I encourage you to sign up as early as you can. I'm looking daily. If I can get something in locally in Buffalo, I'm going to cancel my April 9th appointment. If I can't, I'm going to go on April 9th. My worry is that everybody's going to schedule their appointments, when it becomes available, and you're going to see appointments backed up to May or June. So if you're eligible to schedule an appointment now, get online and schedule your appointment. Coincidentally, or divine providence, whatever you want to call it, April 9th marks the 1-year anniversary from when I first started exhibiting signs of my COVID. So it's God works in strange ways. So I think that's telling me, God's telling me there that I'm going to be going to Rochester on April 9th to get my shot. So let's see here. From Beverly Berry. He wants to, okay, questions are coming in. Thank you to those who are keeping our streets clear this winter. Yes, our great highway department has been, and the village, they do a great job. The village DPW and the town highway department, our crews continue to do a great job. This is from Matt Lynette. As a property owner to several properties across Tonawanda, how is the town helping landlords and property owners navigate the issue with tenants not paying the lease or rent? That is a huge problem. And I don't own apartment buildings or real estate where I have tenants. Councilman Barnese, who owns a lot more real estate than I do, he maybe answer this question, but I'm going to answer it. I'm not going to answer this as a supervisor. I'm going to answer it, I guess, as a private citizen here. I think that what we all feel for those people who are struggling to pay their rent, but you got to look at the other side too. The other side, you got landlords who got to pay mortgages, and there's got to be some help, in my opinion, given to the landlords. If you're going to help the tenants, you got to help the landlords, and that decision is made above my pay grade. And if anybody from the federal government or state government ever asked me, that's exactly what I would tell them. You can't help one set and punishing another set in that formula. So, but nobody's asked me. Then another question Matt asked, I realize that the state stepping in, you are limited to the actions we can take to affect said tenant. Okay, how is the town helping navigate some of the financial stress on the property owners? Well, again, that's above the pay grade of the job of local government. That would fall upon the responsibility of the state and federal government. We'll be, we've spoken to already, and we'll continue to speak out that something has to be done along those lines. So thank you for those questions. So, it's a little after 1 o'clock. So I see Frank Caruso on my screen, Judge Caruso down here on my screen. I never liked Frank. I was hoping I wouldn't see him on my screen today, but he popped up. So hello, Frank. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Everyone, I'll close my remarks just with thank you for coming on the call today. It is a little different message. hopefully I didn't look too nervous, as one of my colleagues on the town board alluded to earlier. But be safe. If there's anything that you think your town government can help you with, please reach out to myself or any of the council members. We're here to help you navigate through these times we find ourselves in. We still do have a little bit of time to get through these times. So just be very careful and do everything that you can. So with that, I want to congratulate Ken Swannekamp again for receiving the Robin Emminger Commemorative Economic Development Award, an award well-deserved. And I'll turn it back over to you, Kathy.
Take that, and I will also mirror that comment, because it's exactly what I was going to say, was congratulations to Ken Swannekamp. His dedication to the community and just the many years that he's worked here, and his leadership on the planning board is fantastic. And we're really, he's absolutely the perfect person to receive this first year. Robin got it the first year, so this award this year. So that's fantastic, and a tough act to follow for next year. But Joe, I also just wanted to thank you and just tell you how much we love you and appreciate your open door policy, your vulnerability, your love for your wife, and just how wonderful that is. And we're just really lucky to have you, and thank God that you are still with us, and you'll be here for a long time. So we're praying for you and everybody else in town who has really been challenged this year, health-wise or business-wise. It's been a really difficult year for all of us. And I think that in one respect, just pulls the community together. It's a great community. And I know that in every shape or form, people are trying to support our local businesses, and that's all we ask. So thank you and congratulations for, I think, a very successful 2021 State of the Town. And we definitely look forward to getting together with people in person next year, if that's allowed, permitted, or doable. But thank you all. And any last words from yourself, or I will say thank you. And
nothing for me. Just thank you, everyone, for attending. God bless you.
That was great. God bless everybody. Have a great day.